The Gentle Art of Tramping, Chapter 6. The Companion. Give me a companion of my way, be it only to mention how the shadows lengthen as the sun declines, wrote William Hazlitt. A companion is ideal. However, we all know that companionship prolonged may be trying even to good friends. If you live for some time in the same room with anyone, you discover that fact. Indeed, you discover a good deal about your companion that you had not suspected before you were intimate, and he about you. Eventually, a cloud no bigger than a man's hand becomes a storm, and you quarrel over what seems afterwards to have been nothing at all. Even man and wife of ideal choice find that out. But there is perhaps no greater test of friendship than going on a long tramp. You discover to one another all the egoisms and selfishnesses you possess. You may not see your own, you see your companion's faults. In truth, if you want to find out about a man, go for a long tramp with him. Still, there are rewards, and if you do not quarrel irreparably and part on the road, you will probably find your friendship greatly increased by the experience of the wilds together. I like tramping alone, but a companion is well worth finding. He will add to the experience, perhaps double it. You have naturally long conversations, you comment on nature around you, and on the tramping experiences. You talk of books, on pictures, of poems, of people, but above all, almost inevitably, of yourself. Tramping makes you self-revelatory, and this is an enormous boon. If you had a patience, you will get to see your friend in a new light. You will fill in the picture which up to then you have but vaguely sketched. The richest people in life are the good listeners. If, however, you also must talk, must reveal your life, your heart, and your prejudices and passions, it will often happen that you will express yourself to yourself as much to your friend. Self-confession is growth of the mind and enriching of the consciousness. In talk which seems idle enough, you may be reaching out toward the infinite. The early morning tramp is a striving time, one of reaching out, of vigorous assertions. The afternoon may mock the morning with jesting, with ribald songs that make you cough and blow your nose, as Kipling says. But the evening will make amends. There is a great poetic time after the campfire has been lit, the coffee brewed, the sleeping place laid out. You sit by the embers as the twilight deepens, and talk till the stars shine brightly upon you. That is the time of confidences, of tenderness, of melancholy, of the might have been, and if only. You are full of songs of the birds to which you have listened all day. Music will come out again. But there are many types of companionship. The two undergraduates en vacances, the two cronies of the same town, the middle-aged man and his young disciple, sweethearts, bachelor girls, father and son, man and wife, friend and friend. Young athletes will go to the furthest distance, lovers the shortest. But the lovers may be out the longest time. I'm inclined to measure a tramp by the time taken rather than by the miles. If 100 miles is covered in a week, it is a longer tramp than if it is rushed in 3 days. There is great happiness in taking a month over it. However, it is hardly possible to walk less than 7 miles a day if one sleeps out of doors. A point to make sure about in companionship is distribution of kit. You do not need 2 coffee pots, 2 sugar bags. A number of duplicates can be avoided. See your companion has the right boots. The slower walker should set the pace. It is absurd for one to walk, the other off his feet, to show that what a walker he is. There is great difference in walking capacity. Some can do 40 miles a day without turning a hair. Many hardly keep up 15. If your companion breaks his feet or turns an ankle, you may have to wait some days with him while he recovers. The first days of tramping are in this respect the most dangerous. It is so easy to blister the feet if one marches too far in hot weather. 1 or 2 blisters may be remedied, but there comes a morning when you cannot get your boots on. The best companions are those that make you freest. They teach you the art of life by their readiness to accommodate themselves. After freedom, I enjoy in a companion a well-stocked mind, or observant eyes, or woodlore of any kind. It is nice sometimes to tramp with a living book. Of course, one should carry a notebook, or diary, or some broad-margined volume of poems. You can annotate Keats from your life on the road. But whether you do that or merely record the daily life in a page-a-day journal, you are enriching yourself enormously by what you can write about. Lovers, I imagine, will carry no diary. Their impressionable hearts are the tablets on which they write. Everyone has a tendency to write down the unforgettable. It is obviously unnecessary. Loving pairs, however, seldom take their staffs and their packs and make for the wild. Even in our free days they are somewhat afraid of it. But it is to be recommended as an admirable preparation for married life. It is a romantic adventure, but it leads to reality. If you have to carry your beloved, you will probably have to carry her for the rest of your life. You cannot tell till you've spent a night in the rain or lost the way in the mountains and eaten all the food, whether you have both stout hearts and a readiness for every fate. If not a tramp before marriage, then a tramp directly after comes not amiss. A honeymoon spent tramping, it is an ideal way to begin a life, for tramping is the grammar of life. Few people learn grammar, but it is worthwhile. There are few more felicitous proposals of marriage set down in literature than the autocrat of the breakfast tables, "Will you take the long road with me?" Life adieu is much more of an adventure than life seul, much more of a tramping expedition, less of a carriage forward, fragile, lift with care, and use no hooks affair. One, be it the man, be it the woman, pulls the other from security. It is a more difficult way of life. It needs learning. On the road, the weak and strong points of character are revealed. There are those who complain, making each mile seem like 3. There are those who have untapped reserves of cheerfulness, who sing to their companions through the tired hours. But in drawing rooms, trains, tennis parties, theatre and dance hall, they would never show either quality. The road shows sturdiness, resourcefulness, pluck, patience, energy, vitality, or, per contra, the lack of these things. It is something to face the first night together under the stars, the fears of lurking robbers or wild animals, fears of the unnamed. The first night out together of a man and his wife is a memorable occasion. You go back to the primitive, but there is something very cozy and comfortable about it. The only man in the world with the only woman. Darkness settles down upon you in a stranger way than it does upon man and man. There is more poetry in the air and in your mind. More tenderness is enkindled than ceiling and walls of house ever saw. Tenderness of a certain sheltering care which it is luxurious to give. Night is dark and still and intense, and you can hear 2 hearts beating while you look outward and upwards, and dimly discern the passage of bats' wings in the air. The first night, however, is seldom without alarm. The cold, wet nose of a hedgehog touching your beloved's cheek may cause her to rend the air with a shriek. A field mouse at her toes cause her scarcely less alarm. It is good to pack her in a really capacious sleeping bag. It excludes rodents. And if you are not too big, you can snuggle into it yourself. If the lady proves to be nervous, and you are on such terms of fellowship as to make it possible. A night of murmurings and deepening shadows and freshness, and then, perhaps, of a gentle rain before dawn, and of glimmerings of new day, and sweetness of wild flowers and bird songs before sunrise. You watch the boles of the great trees grow in stateliness in the twilight, and the night is over. With an arm round your fair one, you go to the point where in the orange and scarlet the great friend of all the living is lifting himself once more out of the east to show us the way of life.